Emem slammed the door so hard the walls shivered, the sound echoing like a Danfo horn stuck in Lagos traffic. Edidiong lay sprawled on the couch, busy pressing his phone, as indifferent as the suya seller outside chopping meat or the akra vendor flipping golden rounds in the hot oil. Abong peeked from the hallway, eyes wide. "Auntie Emem, why is Papa still resting?" Her breath hitched, shallow and tight, as if she'd been sprinting up a hill under the afternoon sun. "Because, little man," she said, crouching to ruffle his hair, "he doesn't see this as his responsibility. But it is. Every single part of it." Edidiong finally raised his head, face calm like a billionaire reviewing a contract, yet his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. "You're overreacting," he murmured, his lips thin and flat. "No, you're not," Emem snapped, her voice sharp as a teacher's bell cutting through a noisy classroom. "We're drowning, and you're pretending nothing is wrong." Her phone buzzed. Okon's name appeared, shining like a tiny beacon through a storm. She answered immediately, voice tight. "Okon. I don't know what to do anymore. He refuses to take responsibility. I'm exhausted." "Emem," Okon said gently, "sometimes people don't change until they see someone acting. You lead, and even the hardest hearts will follow if they can." Emem hung up, letting out a long, slow breath, drifting like smoke from a forgotten smoker. She crouched beside Abong. "We'll make this right. I'll show him what stepping up looks like." Later that evening, Cece arrived quietly, stepping lightly over scattered bills. Her eyes, warm but sharp, swept the room like a teacher inspecting a messy classroom. She placed a hand on Emem's shoulder. "Strength isn't just enduring, my child. It's acting wisely when others won't. Lead with courage, and life will reward you." The next morning, sunlight spilled into the kitchen, golden and rich as freshly baked bread. Emem rose before dawn, sorting bills, planning her small business, organizing ways to support the household. Edidiong shuffled in, hair sticking up like he had slept on a board, rubbing his eyes. "What now?" "I'm building our future," Emem said firmly, her tone calm yet commanding, as steady as a teacher guiding students through a difficult lesson. "You can choose to help, or continue doing nothing." Abong watched silently, mouth tight, brows knitted as if solving a puzzle too big for him. Days passed. Emem worked tirelessly, posting her services online, taking small orders, and teaching Abong small ways to contribute, like a farmer patiently showing a child how to plant seedlings. Edidiong observed quietly, unease creeping into his features. His jaw clenched, lips pressed thin, he had never expected her to act with such courage. One evening, after a delivery, Edidiong hesitated near the doorway. Maybe I could do something to help?" Emem didn't look up immediately. Her eyes were dark pools of tired determination. "Do you mean it?" "Yes," he admitted, picking up a broom with awkward fingers, holding it like a reluctant student gripping a pen for the first time. Abong giggled, his laughter bright and musical, spilling through the room like coins from a rich man's purse. Even Cece, watching quietly, smiled softly, her eyes glimmering like sunlight through clouds. "Leadership is contagious," she whispered. But Emem knew this was only the beginning. Real change required persistence. She continued to push, letting Edidiong handle customer calls, budgeting, and small chores. Arguments flared occasionally, sparks flying like a blacksmith's hammer striking iron. One night, after a particularly heated disagreement, Emem sat quietly with Abong asleep beside her. Fingers tracing patterns on the counter, her breath soft and steady as the gentle hum of a ceiling fan. "I can't force him to change," she whispered, "but I can inspire him." Weeks passed. Each day was a mix of struggle, small victories, and emotional growth. Edidiong began taking initiative, cooking, handling customer calls, helping Abong with homework. Emem's perseverance ignited something in him, a spark slowly turning into a quiet flame of responsibility. The following weeks were a quiet storm. Edidiong's movements were hesitant at first, as if a billionaire trying his hand at a small business for the first time, unsure of every step. Yet he moved. He cooked, folded clothes, and even helped Abong with his schoolwork, awkward at first, then gradually smoother. Emem noticed the faint curve at the corners of his lips, subtle as sunlight touching morning dew. One evening, after a long day of deliveries, Emem returned to the smell of stew simmering gently on the stove. She paused at the doorway, eyes softening. Edidiong stood there, apron on, face glistening from the heat. "I thought I could try," he said quietly, voice hesitant, holding a breath like a student before presenting to the class. Emem's lips curved into a small, proud smile. "You're trying," she said simply, letting the words carry all the weight they needed. Abong peeked from behind the counter, eyes shining. "Papa's cooking," he exclaimed, laughter ringing like coins spilling from a rich man's purse. Even Cece, visiting that day, paused and whispered, "You've taught him well, Emem. And yourself too." Her eyes glimmered, gentle but knowing, like a teacher watching her pupil finally grasp a difficult lesson. Life, however, was not suddenly perfect. Bills still piled, deliveries had hiccups, and Edidiong still made mistakes. One afternoon, a client called angrily. Edidiong froze, fingers hovering over the phone as hesitantly as a lapo deciding whether to approve a new loan. Then he inhaled, squared his shoulders, and spoke, calm, firm, and measured. He guided the client, solved the problem, and hung up. Emem watched, heart swelling. The man she had once fought against was slowly becoming her partner in life. Tension flickered occasionally. Arguments erupted, small, fiery sparks, like embers from a blacksmith's hammer striking iron. Each time, they passed, leaving understanding behind. Emem's patience and persistence had created a space where change could breathe. One rainy evening, Emem sat by the window, droplets streaking the glass like tiny rivers racing to the ground. Edidiong approached, holding a cup of tea, eyes meeting hers with a new softness. "I'm sorry for all the times I didn't try," he said, voice low, almost trembling. "I want to be better, for you, for Abong, for us." Emem took the cup, her fingers brushing his briefly, a spark of warmth flowing between them. "I know," she said softly. "And I'll help you. We'll do it together." Weeks turned into months. The household, once heavy with neglect and frustration, now hummed with quiet energy. Abong laughed freely, happy and secure. Edidiong woke before dawn to help with breakfast, even organizing small errands. Emem's small business flourished slowly, and she no longer carried the weight of the household alone. Each day, she noticed subtle changes, the way Edidiong furrowed his brows thoughtfully, the way his lips curved unconsciously when he succeeded, the gentle way he held Abong's hand before bedtime. The final turning point came one evening when a neighbor dropped by unexpectedly. A minor emergency in Emem's delivery schedule could have sent the household into chaos. But Edidiong, confident now, coordinated the response, calling clients, organizing Abong, and assisting Cece in the background. Emem watched silently, tears welling, warmth spreading like sun breaking through storm clouds. "Look at you," she whispered later, her voice thick with emotion. "You've become the man I always hoped you could be." Edidiong smiled, a genuine, relaxed curve of his lips lighting his entire face. "We've become a family," he said simply. "Not perfect, but ours." That night, as Abong slept, Emem sat quietly, hands folded over her lap, thinking of months of struggle, patience, and small victories. Her chest felt full, her heart steady. Hope, she realized, was not a quiet wish, it was action, persistence, and courage. She turned to the viewer, eyes gentle and knowing. If you've ever felt trapped by someone else's choices, remember, change starts with one person willing to act. Lead by example. Stay patient. Inspire, and you'll be amazed at who decides to follow. And if this story spoke to you, don't forget to subscribe for more stories of hope, leave a comment about what courage means to you, and like this video to support content like this. Every small action can transform a life, just like Emem's did.